Used to be.
All right.
You ready?
Yep. Let's call the meeting to order, please.
Joe Becker. Here. Peter Bussenbach. Here. Scott Gergen.
Here.
Lisa Dean. Here. Dave Pemble.
Here.
Russ Roloff. Here. Kelsey Waits. Here. Superintendent Collins.
Here. Fantastic. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I would like a motion to approve the minutes of the December 12th, 2018 regular board meeting and the January 2nd, 2019 organizational board meeting.
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I would like a motion to approve the bills payable.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I need a motion to approve the acceptance of the charitable donations for the second quarter 2018-2019.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. I need a motion to accept the quarterly review of student activities.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, item 5, good news.
Good news are employees of the semester who have brought some young ones with them today as well. And I think they all agree that these are the employees of the semester and they didn't even get a chance to vote. But I know on behalf of the school board, this is one of our best board meetings because we get to hear great things about you. Our board members aren't out in the hallways. They don't get to meet and greet you, so they get to hear what people have said about you. So we also have a great relationship with NTech, one of our businesses in town, and they help sponsor this as well, so you get a $50 gift card as well from NTech. And with that, I'll call people up alphabetically. You get to be on TV where I read what somebody said something about you.
And then something good.
And it's good.
Super good. I think
And we think that it's true, but we're going to take their word for it. But then if you want to say something, you can. If you don't have to either. So with that, because you're a Bauer, imagine that. We wouldn't want to start a Hastings recognition. Nancy Bauer, come on up.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah.
You want to come stand over by me?
I'm going to slide. I'm going to slide to the side here so that.
This is what your nomination person or people had to say about you. Every single day, Nancy greets everyone who comes into the middle school in a very friendly, fun, and welcoming way. As we all know, working in a school, not everybody is kind and patient when they come in or in a good mood. But Nancy never fails to interact with them, always in a kind and patient manner. Nancy goes out of her way to help students, especially those students who might be considered difficult or challenging. She has been known to bring in cereal for students who never have breakfast. She's brought in coats, gloves, and boots for students who she notices do not have any. She goes out of her way to make sure all new students feel welcome and many, many countless other things on a daily basis. She definitely brightens everyone's day. The Hastings School District is lucky to have such an employee to be the first person that other people meet. Congratulations.
Thank you. Couldn't do it without my coworkers.
And they came to support you as
They
well.
did.
Do you want to do the next one? Sure. Great.
And they maybe want to use that $50 gift certificate that they have. Jackie Colbian, second grade teacher. Pinecrest Elementary. Jackie is one of those teachers that still has the same love for teaching today as she did when she began teaching. I won't mention how many years that's been. I didn't write that. I didn't write that. She works diligently to prepare lessons for her students that are standards-based and highly engaging. She has a creative, artistic flair that also makes learning fun for her kids. Her students know that she cares about them and wants them to have a positive, successful learning experience. Jackie is a creative, passionate teacher who is constantly working to improve her craft for students and the staff of ISD 200. She exemplifies what teaching should be. Congratulations.
I guess what I'd like to say is I know that to be an educator, you need to have a family that supports you and backs you, and I think that I've been very blessed in that area of my life, and for that reason I'm able to come into the classroom and do what I think is the best for kids. So I'd like to thank you to my family, and thank you for everyone that's given me an opportunity to teach in the district. So thank you.
Pam Hoffman couldn't be here tonight. She works in our district office, so you can make sure that I will take every point to embarrass her. Give her credit tomorrow. She is definitely a food nutrition rock star, and she's helped us transition to several food service directors in the last few years. Next up, Katy Mcbride. Fourth grade teacher at McCullough Elementary. I'm nominating Katy Mcbride for Employee of the Semester because of her passion for teaching and dedication to students and staff in ISD 200. She is always willing to share her ideas and resources easily and openly with staff members, while at the same time is open to trying new things to help her students succeed. She currently serves on our staff development and leadership teams. She also has recently took on the role of literacy coach at McCullough. I've been at a few meetings where you've been there, yeah. A little bit of extra work. It's easy to see Katy's love and dedication to her students. She greets them at the door each morning with a happy smile to get their day started on the right track. As you enter her classroom, it is obvious she has created a student-centered environment. Academic learning targets, anchor charts, and student work are clearly posted in her classroom. Her enthusiasm for teaching is on display, and that is what makes her so special. Congratulations. Katy, come on up. Katy Mcbride, ECSE lead at Tilden Community Center. Well, not just there. She wears so many hats in the district. She is the Hastings High School speech language pathologist, the dual process special forms guru, and she leads the early childhood special education team. She continuously has new duties added to her job description.
Other duties as assigned.
As assigned, yeah. We wrote that somewhere in your contract, right? She recently took on the role of SLP over at Kennedy when the position opened up unexpectedly, even though she didn't really have the time. In early childhood, she leads us with encouragement, approachability, advocacy, and humor. She is true to her word. If she says she's going to take care of something or find out something, she does it. To sum up, I've worked with many people in leadership roles, and she is one of the very best. Congratulations.
I work with really cool people, so it's a pleasure to work here.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Rochelle Nielsen, Spanish teacher, high school.
Thank you.
This person writes, I have worked with Rochelle for 20 years, and I can tell you that no one surpasses her in connecting with students. She spends a tremendous amount of time getting to know all of her students. And yes, this year that's 150. She works just as hard for her honor students as she does with the students who are struggling. And no one gets to fly under the radar in Rosita's class. I am truly thankful to call her my colleague and my friend, and the Hastings students and community are so fortunate to have her.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, I'd just like to say it's been a privilege to be here, and this is my 29th year, and I have my youngest child graduating this year, so it's been fun to share their journey over the past, over 25, 30 years as well, so thanks to everybody involved.
Thank you. And on behalf of the board, thank you for all the extra time and love and caring. That's the theme of all of you, that you care about kids, and that's what makes you who you are and so special. So thank you. And If you want to stick around for a great board meeting, you can, or if you want to exit, now's your chance. Because the TV will see you leave as a mass.
Awesome.
Rochelle,
Congratulations, right? Yeah. All right, thanks.
Too cute. All right, fantastic. Item number 6 is the superintendent's report.
I just have a few updates for you. The solar garden, we've still been moving forward and getting more information on that. And I don't know if, I didn't look closely if the committee's changed or not, or who's on the facility committee. I didn't look.
It has not changed.
Okay. Because at the end of the meeting tonight, then I want to talk with those 3 individuals about setting up a time where we can dig in just a little bit more. But the good news is that as we sent the solar contract to our attorney, he looked at it and said that overall it was pretty solid, and that there were just 1 or 2 minor changes that he would recommend to it. I put him then in direct contact with Eric Jensen from Rensola, the solar garden, and they agreed to the changes that our attorney put in the document. So I'm guessing when I get together with the 3 of you, we'll talk about a few other things, but on the surface, the firm has agreed to everything that our attorney has said should be in the contract. It is at 1.5 cent savings. The other firms were right around 1 cent. Another firm that called me recently, they were at 0.7 of a cent recently. Another thing that I asked a question, we are a big contract for them. We are a lot of energy for them, and would they be able to handle all of this? And they've said yes. For those people that are listening through Hastings Community Television, part of the contract also is that they give us some guaranteed money up front. That's their commitment to us, saying, if you sign with us, we believe that we're going to follow through and build the garden. It's right in the range of $80,000. They give 50% of that up front, and then once the garden gets built, they give us another $40,000. 50% up front, so $40,000. And then that 1.5 cents each year is about $100,000 of guaranteed savings. And I know that this isn't going to be surprising to Dave because he preached this in our meetings. Over time, that savings goes down because our consumption is projected to go down with technology. And at first, when I was sitting in those meetings, I was looking at those numbers, because usually over time, costs go up. And Dave hit me in the head with a rubber mallet and said, Tim, technology is going to keep improving lighting. We're going to become more and more efficient. And so again, if you look at the 25 years, it is a 25-year agreement. And again, those are some things that we talked about. How long do we want to get into an agreement for? And I think that the other thing that we've talked about as a board was, if you keep waiting, you keep losing out on the savings too. So, at some point, is technology going to get better with panels and everything? Yes, it is. So, as of right now, they've honored their end of the bargain. They've passed the test with our attorney. So now I need to get together with the 3 board members. He sent me the documents 5 o'clock this evening, again, for us to sign. I won't officially sign on those until we as a board, though, do vote on it. So we might have to call a special board meeting some morning or some evening just on this one issue after I meet with the facility committee. I just didn't feel it was ready to bring here tonight and all of a sudden say, hey, everybody sign this. So that's my update on the solar garden. And I'll be meeting with, in the next 4 to 5 days with those 3 members that were in on the original meetings, and then I'll come back to you as an entire board to vote on it. Any other questions on that right now? The other thing that I want to just update you on again is achievement and integration dollars that we're applying for. We did, when I say we, Jen Reichel, myself, Mike Johnson, and Jen went to Mankato on a cold day, and there were probably about 20, 25 school districts in the room that they too are applying for achievement and integration, most of them for the first time. And this is where you have to be a sister school with another school district that has some disparity in students of color. We have that qualification, so we could partner with either South Wash or Rosemount Apple Valley Egan. There's nothing in the law that says you have to do programs with them or integrate with them, but you do at least have to meet and have discussions of what are they doing and can you do some things together. What we found is that school districts more in the rural area are able to come together in a collaborative and maybe offer STEM classes in the summer for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders at a certain school and get those students involved in those types of programs. They talked about that for our AVID classes, for example. If we have 10 kids that maybe just aren't quite there ready to make that leap into an honors math class, we could then have a class with us in South Washington in the summer, where either they bus here or we bus there, and for 3 or 4 weeks we get them jacked up a little bit or coached up a little bit for math. So they did give us some ideas, but really now it's down to us on what those ideas need to be. The dollars are roughly about $250,000 a year. $70,000 comes from our local taxpayers in a levy. We did levy that this December. We put it on our levy, and then the state comes up with about the other $180,000. We have to be submitted by March 15th. And what we liked from what we learned at that meeting is we have to submit a 3-year plan, but we can amend it because this is our first time going through this plan. So we met again with a couple of teachers this past week to talk about what some of those goals might be for us. And we really just focused on the first year because we know that in year 2 and 3 we can amend what we want to do. 80% of the dollars have to be spent directly on student or student activities. You can spend the money on an AVID teacher, you can spend the money on AVID tutors, you can spend it on summer school teachers, you can spend it on those types of programs and transportation. 20% then can either be professional development and or 10% like to pay Jen Reichel to help her get this started or lead it. And so one of the other things that we're having a discussion, some people take some of the money to pay for an equity coordinator. So that coordinator looks at the data, they help lead it. And Jen and I have been talking about maybe combining this with the position for the Native American Indian liaison and taking some of the dollars for that because again, that's student engagement, et cetera, and students who aren't achieving at the level that, so we're talking about that right now as well. So I think we walked away from the meeting feeling a little bit better about some flexibility in the 3-year draft. You cannot roll the money over. So you have to spend the $250,000 or it's if you only spend $180,000. I never like that to have to spend money just because it's there, but one of the things you can do with the money is one of the 3 years you can spend it on technology. So part of our plan is going to be in year 1 when we don't know precisely how much our staff is going to be for the next 2 years. We're going to look to spend a chunk of that money on technology, whether that be Chromebooks for those students, whether it be accessibility at home, of how we can do that for those students. We're going to be surveying our high school students for sure coming up here in the next month. We figured we'd get better results from our students than sending an email home to parents. We'd get a better response rate. Because we have a captive audience, we can have all of them fill out what their accessibility is at home. And so money on the technology side can be spent, you know, we're looking at that as well. So again, we're happy about the flexibility, and we're excited about what it can bring back to us. We're also getting the Hastings Public School Foundation funded $10,000 at a grant that I wrote for our AVID program. We also have an independent person who has donated $25,000 for the AVID program to do some things that maybe those dollars can't. So people in the community are starting to find out that this is for students that we need to push to that next level, and they're finding out about students that aren't achieving to right where we believe they should be, and they're wanting to help out in that way too. So we're excited about what's going on as we continue to grow with it and realize that there's going to be some wrinkles too. So hopefully it gets approved. There's a lot of schools applying for it right now, so hopefully, but I don't think it's a competitive grant. I think if you meet the criteria and you meet the goals, it's not like the safety grant where there was only $25 million in the entire state of Minnesota. I think basically if we submit it and we meet those requirements, we will get it. So we're excited about the flexibility and what it's going to do for our students. Then the last thing I just wanted to let you know, our facility committee, this is one of the things at Todd Field that we're looking at. We met with Wold before our last work session, and we talked about a couple of things. One of the things that we talked about is right now the only accessibility is off of 10th Street, which is above Todd Field, so to speak. You can access our stadium from the top side, and you can get down to the main ramp. So when we talked, our facility committee said that if our parking lot is down on the main grass area and our handicapped accessibility is on that level, and if that's where you go to get your tickets, should we or should we not have a ramp? And Scott from Wold told us it'd be one of the largest ramps they've ever made because it's 9.5 feet up to the stadium. And so our facility committee said we'll still design it so that we can see what it might look like. And we can go from there. So this is a rough drawing. This gives you a feel then. That would be the concession stand and the new ticket entrance. Oh, go back one. So that shows you for those of you, so for those of you who have been to Todd Field, you can get a feel for how long. No, go one more.
Said it was 70 feet plus or minus.
Right.
The next one is the.
Oh, okay, go back one more then. So it would be, you know, I'm not going to call it an eyesore because there's handicap ramps in a lot of places right now, but it would cost, and our committee wasn't super concerned about the cost of it because if we need to do it, we need to do it with it. This was like over $100,000 plus. So anyway, I had shared this with facility committee board members, so I thought I would share it with you as a board as whole. We haven't made a final decision on it. Right now, Todd Field does meet the handicapped accessibility requirements because you can get to the main decking. It's just you access it from the street. So now as a committee, we have to decide, do we want to keep that or not? And so we're going to have a few further discussions on that. This is not something that has to be made right now. We could add this later as well. Then another option that Wold had presented was to bring in this is a lift at another school. But as you can imagine, that lift then would be right next to the stairway, and then it would lift the wheelchair or the handicapped person up. That's probably $70,000, right in that range. They admitted that one of the problems with that is a lot of maintenance because it's outside, it's in the elements, it's in the weather, and then of course there'd be, on the main nights of football, of graduation, we'd have that site pretty well policed and kids wouldn't be using it. But now if we're gonna open it up more to the public, probably some kids would be using it and I'll just say rough housing a little bit in it, and the maintenance wouldn't be maintenance that our staff could do. You'd always have to call somebody in, so there'd be those ongoing costs as well. So again, Trent Hansen and I gave Wold some other potential ideas of how we could maybe ramp it, differently. So we'll see, but that'll be one thing that the facility committee will be talking about again.
Can you comment on about the cost of it included in the bond? I mean, this isn't an extra beyond the bond. Can you comment on that?
That it is or it isn't?
Well, that this will be covered in the bond because of.
Right. We, our committee also, when we met with Wold, we as a community and as the board had approved about $450,000 for if we went away from the rubber infill. It looks like that we're not going to be going away from the rubber infill at this point because there is no research. So in essence, those $450,000 that were budgeted for Todd Field can be used for some of these as well. And so overall, Todd Field will still fit within the budget, but we just at some point will need to make a decision if we want to, like I said, Wold said it would be the longest ramp that they've ever built at any school district. So those are my 3 updates underneath the superintendent report.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Agenda item 7 are action items. Action item 1 is a motion to approve a resolution directing the administration to make recommendations, if necessary, for reductions in programs, positions, and reasons therefore. And then Exhibit A is the complete resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Open it up for discussion.
Again, as I shared with you in an email, this item is something that boards have to take a motion on in order for us to start moving forward. If there would be any reductions, we're in a fortunate situation because of the passage of the levy that many of you saw in December. We're not going to have a $500,000 deficit or $1 million deficit, so it's not like you're telling us as administrators to go out and look for reductions. But I, along with the administrators, are always, if a reduction can be made, we look to make it. So for example, if our kindergarten class next year comes in 50 less, then that just naturally means we're going to have 2 less teachers. Mike Johnson might come to me and say, you know what, Tim, we don't have as many students taking ceramics this year or art class, so then we would have a reduction in art. So even though our budget doesn't always dictate that, this then at least gives direction to administrators to always look at how are we fine-tuning it and moving it so that we can come back then in April and make some resolutions to non-renew. But again, are we as a district looking to make a lot of major reductions this year? No, we're very appreciative of the fact that the community supported our levy, which has helped our budget.
Thanks, Tim. Any other discussion on that point? All right, Russ, this is a roll call vote.
Joe Becker.
Yes.
Peter Bussenbach.
Yes.
Scott Gergen.
Yes.
Lisa Hadeen.
Yes.
Dave Pemble.
Yes.
Russ Roloff. Yes. Kelsey Waits.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Action item number 2, I need a motion to approve the school board committee structure for 2019.
All motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. For discussion, I have a list of the 2019 committees that I shared with you earlier today, so I can just crank through those quickly. The licensed staff negotiations is Lisa, myself, and Peter. The admin negotiations is myself and Russ and Joe Becker. Classified negotiations is myself and Kelsey. Facility committee is Peter, Joe, Russ, with Dave Pemble as a sub. Joint Powers is Dave and Kelsey and Russ. The Policy Committee is Peter and Russ and Kelsey. The Community Ed Advisory is Dave. The Tech Committee is Kelsey. And Self-Funded Insurance is myself and Lisa. And then I think we had Staff Development here as well. Clipped my message, 1 second. Staff Development Committee is Lisa. The 917 board member, a huge undertaking, is Russ Roloff, thank you. The Hastings High School Student Luncheons for the this one does not run with the calendar year, this runs with the school calendar. So for the 2018-2019 school year, that's Joe and Russ and Dave. Meet and Confer is Peter, Lisa, and Dave, with Kelsey as a substitute. The Community Outreach and Storytelling, which is conversations with the City and Chamber of Commerce, is Russ and Kelsey and Lisa. Finance Committee is Peter, Lisa, and Joe. And the Special Education Advisory Committee rep is Kelsey. So a lot of work that goes on outside of the regular board meetings and all these committees. So thank you for volunteering for those.
Well, and thanks for putting it together and consolidating people's opinion. I think that works really well to do a email submission and then
Yep.
apply your insights.
Worked well. Any further discussion on the committees? Okay, we have a motion and a second. At this time, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Action item number 3 is a motion to approve the following change orders. So change order number 1 is the Hastings High School building automation replacement. This is submitted by Humeratech, and it is a decrease of $73,273. Item number, I'll read them both and then we can have a motion, a second, and then have discussion. Change order number 2 is a multi-site exterior lighting replacement. This is from Laketown Electric, and this is a $8,482.98 addition. So I need a motion and a second.
I'll motion.
Second.
Thank you. And I'll open it up for discussion.
I quite honestly got so excited on the first one that I don't even know if I asked Jen on the second one, but I know that Jim Huberty sits in. The first one, I wanted to make sure that when a firm comes to us and says, we can reuse these parts, or we can reuse part of this panel board, or we can reuse some of this wiring, I want to make sure that, yeah, then 5 years from now, we're not replacing that. Because sometimes reusing isn't always the best if 5 years down the road you're replacing it. But the answer and the response was no, those were components that once they got into it were solid, whether it be some components on the panel board or whether it be some of the switches or whatever wiring that they didn't need to redo. So I'm glad that that firm came forward because they wouldn't have to come forward and say that. They make money on switches and they make money on the labor. So that one's pretty easy to accept after you hear the behind the stories, that it is good to go for years to come. I don't know if you know the multi-day or if you looked at or the multi-building. I'm just assuming that as we got into all of our sites, as we were putting some lighting on exterior, they noticed spots where it wasn't in the original specs, and either principals or Jim Huberty said, well, we should really need another lighting mount here.
There were some repairs in there too that I talked to Jim about.
That hadn't been anticipated of our existing lighting, so altogether, money ahead on the bond again, so I'm recommending.
Just one comment on the lighting that I've seen. It looks fantastic. It is so much brighter at the sites. It really makes a
It's
big
amazing how many
difference.
staff and parents have noticed that.
Yeah.
We let it go for too long then.
Well, and it's high efficiency too.
Yeah,
So.
yeah,
Saving us money in the long run.
yeah.
Yep. Any other discussion on the 2 change orders? We have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Action item number 4, a motion to approve the leaves for 2 individuals. I need a motion and a second, please.
I'll motion.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Action item number 5, a motion to accept the resignation of 1 individual.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Just a quick mention for those watching on television, if you care to, the agenda is posted out on the ISD 200 website. So if you are wondering who these individuals are, that's a place to find that information. Action item number 6, a motion to approve the following change in assignment. We have 2 of those. I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And then action item number 7, is a motion to approve the employment of 3 individuals.
So
And
moved.
thank you,
Second.
thank you. Any discussion? Beyond that, one of those last names looks awfully familiar.
I was trying not to say anything about that.
All right, well, welcome.
All their eggs in one basket.
Yeah. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Welcome to those individuals. Item number, is that 6 or 7? The last item is our other business. So on February 6th, 6 p.m., we have our regularly scheduled work session for the board. The 19th, our high school student luncheon meets at 11:30 a.m. And then on the 20th of February is our regular televised board meeting.
February 11th, and we still have chamber and city, right?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
Am I correct?
yeah,
I didn't.
5:30.
Yep.
We don't have
Okay.
a location yet.
I think it's still in the lineup, but.
I would presume.
I think it's in a lineup.
Yeah.
I presume so.
And is our work session here in the
it'll be
district
at
office?
Pinecrest,
Pinecrest.
Mr. Baker.
Pinecrest.
Is it at 5:30?
I think 5:30.
Isn't that what our Mr. did last time?
Are you gonna look it up, Russ?
No.
All right. That brings us to our last item, which is a motion to adjourn. I need a,
moved.
thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.